Warning, this video is intended for adult collectors. It contains plastic collectibles, questionable opinions, and the #1 enemy of translucent plastic. It's too late. Random review is about to begin.
Last but not least for the Legacy Wave 1 Deluxes, we have Skids. Skids is a weird one, isn't he? He's one of those love or hate characters. Or actually, not even that. You either love Skids or you've never heard of Skids, because Skids exists for exactly 2 episodes. He's an ancillary character at best. I think he has 1 line in the entirety of the original cartoon. He gets more playtime in the comic book. And IDW especially made really good use of Skids as a character. But he is a very maligned character in general. Ever since G1, he had an alternator figure, which wasn't that great. He had a Generations figure that was loaded with problems. I do think his Masterpiece came out well. So where does this one land? Because I believe if we're keeping count on the G1 Skids, between G1 and Masterpiece, and then Generations, and his alternator, he's 2 for 2. So this is the deal breaker. He is either going to be bad or good. So let's go ahead and take a look. So he is his traditional. I don't even remember what to call this. It's not a van. It's not an SUV. It's like a micro van that's in Japan. It is a city. I can remember the model name is a city, and that's all I can ever remember of where it came from. Though legally it is distinct enough to not set off a lawyer. It is cast in blue plastic with some translucent blue to create the effect of the windshields in the front as well as the windows on the sides. A little bit of black plastic to form the wheels. And we're going to see a little bit of red once we get into the robot. Now we see the red in the form of the race stripes along the side with a nice little bit of silver trim as well. Do really like how this looks. I do think they missed a clever trick. The port on the side is just a little bit short of where the gas cap is, which would have been a fun little thing if that's where you ended up plugging in your weaponry. On the front, we do have a painted grille and painted headlights and turn signals, indicators, if you will. I really wish the backside had a little bit of paint. That's always like a little frustrating thing for me. And then like a nice big bold Autobot symbol right there on the hood. That's where we like it, because we're a robot in disguise who is very clearly not in disguise. And we have a sunroof as well, done up, just painted over in black. Not a huge deal there. It is a very boxy, hard-angled design, and that is accurate to the actual vehicle. The city, not the most aerodynamic of creations, but it is an extremely popular vehicle in Japan, so give it credit. It is, there's a little bit of a charm to it, because, yeah, you would pass it off as a van, but it's only got 2 doors. You would call it an SUV, but it's way too short. So it is a unique beast in and of itself. I will say mine does not roll very well. In contrast to some of the other vehicles we have seen today, or seen this week for you, it does not roll exceptionally well, which is unfortunate because 2 of its wheels are actually pinned in. So those actually roll really well. The problem is the mushroom pegged ones in the front, where it feels like there's some mold flash in the way that's scraping on it and is not giving me the rotation I need. So that's unfortunate. That's a mileage may vary thing. Speaking of mileage may vary, I did have some problems getting his roof to peg in. There are 2 tabs that peg into this in order to flatten the top of the vehicle down. I could not get those to seat in correctly. Again, a mileage may vary. I have no idea if your copy will do the same. As you can see, it's not too much of a deterrent. It doesn't look terrible or anything. It's just something that bugged me that I couldn't quite complete the transformation as a result. I can get one of the tabs in, and then the other one, just nothing. We have a port at the top, as well as 2 ports on either side. If you want to throw some weaponry on him, we can throw some weaponry on him. He comes with this goofy little Energon axe thing, which I can plug in right here. It looks like it does absolutely nothing there, but I can plug it in there. And then, of course, we have a double barrel blaster, which is one of his traditional weapons. Even the MP comes with that. And then we have another pistol, which I can plug in right here. So it's a doofy looking set of weapons going on, but you do have armament options. I do think it is nice that he has a port for each one of them, so he can use all three at once. At least you have that going for it, right? Right. All right. Transformation time. So let's get the doors open. We'll start getting all of this robot unfurled from here. So if you could tab your roof into the rear of the vehicle, this is the part where you would separate them. And then start expanding out the legs themselves. The leg assembly includes these panels down here that actually hides a lot of the robot mode kibble, and it's going to become the front of the legs. So we can start rotating those out as well. And once you have that rotated out, go ahead and rotate the arms down. I did have a little bit of issue with these mushroom pegs trying to unseat as you were trying to plug them into the little pegs right here on the sides. So keep an eye out for those while you're plugging it in. Don't just start forcing things together, because you might pop the arms off and you might risk a little bit of stress to those mushroom sockets. So, but with those mushroom sockets out of the way, make sure this tab at the top, make sure this socket is out of the way, so you can fold that red block down. That will become the pelvis. Rotate the legs up like that. So you can go ahead and close these up and call those a pair of robot legs. These will move outward. Rotate them down and then rotate the arms into position. There we go. Make sure that snaps into place. Rotate the arms forward. And that is going to give us our Skids in his fully realized robot mode. So nothing terribly shocking to Skids' transformation in this figure. It's pretty much what you would expect. It's a fairly bare bones, normal Transformer transformation. Keep in mind, not everything needs to reinvent the wheel. We saw with RC that a complex transformation is not always a good thing. Every now and then, it's nice to have something that just kind of does the standard transformation pattern. Nothing wrong with that whatsoever. Looking at Skids now, he exposes a lot more black than he had in the vehicle mode. We got some nice red clown shoes going on, as well as red underwear. He makes a huge fashion statement here. More black here on the forearms and the fists, as well as silver in the thighs, which is a nice way of bringing that silver back from the grill. It does have a lot of detail going on, thanks mostly in part to all the vehicle mode parts that are still exposed, especially, that front end and the front bumper with all that extra paint, and giving a little bit more to the wing doors here to give a little bit of the striping still. Very nice. He's got a lot of little details going on and is looking quite excellent. Zoom in time. Give me a second. Now, Skids' head is looking quite nice. I like that bright baby blue to the eyes. This is why I don't like light piping, because painted eyes can look so much better in any light. It's a very nice head sculpt. Captures him very nicely. You do see that little bit of panel that's still behind his head. Once upon a time, that would bug me a lot, but I've seen so much worse since then. And because this is actually attached to his head, it means it doesn't get in the way of articulation. So I will live with that little bit of panel. Now, looking over Skids as a whole, he is a wide boy. He has this really wide shoulder spans, and then even wider with the wing doors. You can see about 5 inches across. He is as wide as he is tall here. Actually, no. Let me line him up directly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, he's a little bit longer than 5 inches. So he does have like a noticeable just like girth to him. Very wide shouldered, very heavy legs. He looks like he can take a hit. He looks like a beefy boy. A little bit thin on the arms, especially if you look at him from the side. But, you know, for the most part, I dig the proportions here. He looks like he's got some power behind him. And he's also pretty clean. You know, the door wings are accurate to his original design, so I'm not going to give them any kind of guff. And then the only kibble left behind is actually just his robot, just the roof of the vehicle mode and the windshield. He does have a little bit of hollowness in the back of his arms, not a huge deal. A little bit in the legs as well, so that can be a deterrent for some. I do think it looks solid enough and feels solid enough that it doesn't really bother me in any way. So looking over, he has a lot of the nice details I expect. I'm quite happy with him. Alright, so articulation. Head rotates around. It is on a ball joint, so you get a little bit of up and down movement to him. Shoulder joints work very, very well. They are bound to these hinges here, so you do have to watch with his articulation. Make sure you're bending the right thing in the right spot. Bicep rotates pretty well, 90-degree elbow. We have a wrist rotation, which very tight on mine, but it does exist. It can be used. Waist joint works all the way around, 360 degrees. We have a full universal hip as well. 90-degree knee bend, thigh swivel. Thigh swivel works very, very well. And then those big old red feet do have a hinge themselves, which also reminds me, I forgot to flip the vehicle mode tires in. Not that they really deterred the look or the function of the figure, but it is nice when you can fold those things away and clean up the look of the toy a little bit. So yeah, all the articulation I would want. He is an excellent poser. Not an insult. The weaponry I do like as well. So, as I said, he's got this weird energon axe thing. So the gimmick of this line, this sub gimmick, is being able to combine all of these different weapons. So no surprise when it has a port up top, a handle right here, an extra handle over here, and then 2 ports on either side. A lot of things you can do with this. So you can have him wield it like an axe if you want to give him a melee energon weapon. But it also works as an extra rifle as well, though admittedly a very weird looking one. It's a very odd piece. It reminds me of the piece that used to come with Robot Masters, like that extra weapon they all came with, but they were always like really weird shapes. It's kind of vaguely reminds me of that. For some more traditional Skids weaponry, we can actually use his double barrel blaster and plug that right into his forearm, or give him an added pistol, which admittedly looks a little bit weird because it does float a lot. If you want to arm him with more, he does 2 fists as well as 2 ports on the forearms. We do have the ports on the sides of the legs. If we look to the back, he still has 1 there if you want to put a jetpack or something on, and then 2 on the feet if you want to power up his feet. I know people who power up feet. Don't laugh. Don't shame. No, what I prefer to do with the weaponry is they also have an additional port on top and 1 down at the bottom. And you can plug the top, you can plug it in like this, but why do that when you can plug it in like this and get this tri-barreled laser, which actually fixes that floating handle problem, and now it just looks like a really powerhouse of a weapon. I will say, getting these apart is a little bit tricky. Make sure you get a little bit of twisting going on before you start like ripping it and trying to pull it apart. The paint might stick a little bit to each other, but you know what? I do really like the look of it. Here, let's see. Because I've already had to separate this once. Let's see if it's a little... Okay, yeah. Second time, it's a little bit easier. But you can see you got to very slowly wiggle back and forth. Work that out. There we go. All right. So you do have plenty of options for weaponry at least. So that, my friends, is Skids. He is a very nice, very solid figure to round out the Legacy line. Or Legacy's first wave, I should say. There's not a terrible amount of interesting things going on here. As I said, his transformation for the most part is pretty standard. Not really trying to do anything new, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. I do like his weapon accessories. He has plenty of options in both modes for them. And yeah, he plenty of room to expand. and all the articulation I could want. Honestly, aside from the little tabbing issue I had, which, your copy might very well not have that issue, I generally don't find anything wrong with the Skids. Skids is now up 3-2. Good toys, too bad. Puts him in the black. All I can, congratulations to him. All I can say is congratulations to Skids. You've got a really, really nice toy on the shelves right now, and definitely makes up for, like the happiest I was when I first went to play with him. And I'll tell you, the joints on this guy are just really solid, like nothing wiggling around at all, which is such an improvement over his Generations toy. That's all I wanted it to do. Stand up well and not be floppy. And you've already beaten your previous toy. He does that, and does a little bit more while he's at it. So buy with confidence. Skids, I'd say Dragstrip is probably my favorite of the wave, but I feel like Skids is going to be everyone's darling this time. Guys, I am facing the most powerful enemy any YouTuber can face, the algorithm, and I need your help to defeat him. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and leave a comment. Every time you do, we attack that algorithm and we drive it back until it can no longer defeat this channel. Thank you very much.